Happy 2024, everyone. Now, many of you probably have been waiting for the next episode of Pandemonium, but it's going on a small break to give us more time to make the episodes you enjoy. Thank you for all the recent support on the series. Now, some people may remember that about 5 years ago, I made a short series called How to Make MCPE Roleplays that centered around just that, giving you guys resources on how to make your own Bedrock roleplay. However, a lot of things have changed within the last 5 years. For one, I don't even make roleplays on my iPad anymore. So, therefore, I think that the series deserves a little reboot. So, welcome to the first installment of How to Make a MCPE Roleplay 2024. There will be 4 videos that will surround different areas of production. They will not cover the creative side of things, like what your story will actually be about. This video is all about the things I wish I had known before making a roleplay. To the new viewers, my first roleplay was the main 6, and there were so many things I wish I'd done differently if I were to restart the series. More on that later. Anyways, I wish I put in the time to ask questions and learn from others. So before we begin this whole journey, let's begin with some tips and guidelines. And by the way, this section isn't exclusive to MCPE. So let's dive into the first tip. My biggest issue is that I didn't know how to write for shit. I didn't plan, so my story was a mess. I had a loose idea on how I wanted my story to go, but I didn't flesh out everything. This might sound like a no-brainer, but plan out your story and plot. Flesh out the minor and major events. Remember the story arcs. Exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. However, it doesn't stop there. Ask yourself, why is this important? Why is the scene, character, action, and dialogue important? If your character interacts with someone, what significance does it hold? Not everything has to mean something and hold relevance, but you should have goals and motives. Once you know the answer to your questions, you should become confident in your story. There are some outlines online that can help you achieve that. Overall, don't have a flat and unstable story. The next thing I wish someone had told me is about camera shots and angles. Something that is very important in video production is the 180-degree rule. Basically, if 2 people are having a conversation, the camera resides on one side of the subjects and simply rotates along that one side, thus swiveling along a 180 rotation. If you suddenly jump to the other side of the figures, you are breaking that rule. This could lead to confusion as the direction changes and it can mean different things. This doesn't only apply to people though. The 180 rule also applies to objects. The key is to follow what your character is looking at. Keep your camera following the same direction. In regards to angles, different angles can mean different things, like dominance or weakness. If you would like to look further into these topics, I will leave resources down in the description below. Moving on, if you are new to the roleplay scene, I would like to suggest some guidelines when interacting inside the community. The first one piggybacks off of the previous tips, and that is, if people start to comment on unimportant things that happened within your episode, you might be losing their interest. Yes, there will be those people that overanalyze everything, but if enough people mention it, it might be good to see where you're losing people's attention. I've had this happen to me recently, as in episode 3 of Pandemonium, I've gotten a few comments wondering why Maura and Cal said they were doing geometry, but they were adding and subtracting. And even though I would love to put on my nerd glasses and explain why it makes sense, it was just not important. Yes, it was a catalyst to their fight, but it didn't matter what they were studying. This tells me that they were probably focusing on the wrong things. And as the creator, it's my responsibility to make sure my audience is engaged. Nothing too interesting was happening in that moment, so it makes sense. The next tip from me is to act smart. Grow connections naturally. Do not befriend someone just because they are popular. Now, the last tip for this video might get a little controversial, but please. Viewers, we aren't trying to be like AFML. And I know for many, it might sound like a compliment to say, "Oh, your video reminds me of blank." But it just undermines the creator's individuality as being a copy of someone else. There are many similar resources that this community uses, but we should try to appreciate roleplays how they are and not what they're similar to. And if you do find yourself copying or being heavily inspired, don't worry, you'll get your own style over time. I mean, that's how everyone starts. Okay, that ending seems like a little lecture, but I know a few of you will appreciate it. Anyways, that's all I wanted to cover for the first episode. In the next one, I'll be covering visual elements like texture packs, add-ons, skins, maps, as well as possible recording and editing software. Please leave any questions in the comments. Bye! Sometimes everything just